All right, we're going to take a look at 0-7 today, which is talking about perimeter. Let's go ahead and get started here. So, perimeter. I'd like you to make sure you have this in your notes. Please copy this down. Perimeter, the distance around a figure. So, any figure that you're looking at, remember, a rectangle, we could do, how would you find the perimeter of this? Go ahead and see if you can write it down. One good way to do this, if you're copying down problems from the book, if it has a shape, it's a good idea to write the shape on there, label the edges, and then you can put your answer either in the middle or off to the side. So for this one, I'm looking at if this is the distance around the figure, I see 2 plus 3, and this side would also be 2, right? So I would add another 2, and then add another 3. So what's 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3? That should be 10, right? So you can jot in there, perimeter equals 10 for this one. I would say P equals 10. And then we would add our label, inches or centimeters or whatever we're talking about. I don't know what the label is, so I'm just going to put units. That's pretty generic. Okay, let's take a look at, I said that would be, oops. We're going to leave that right there. Okay. How about for a square if you're trying to find the perimeter? Wouldn't that be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2? That's a lot of 2's. There's actually a shorter way to write this, but that is the answer. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So that would be 8, right? Okay. And then for any shape that you have, again, it's just adding up the edges. These don't have numbers, so obviously triangle would just be this side plus this side plus this side, and then parallelogram is really similar to the rectangle. So let's see if we can find a shorter way to write this. I know these are kind of showing up fuzzy. I'm sorry about that. It would be a good idea if you copy these shapes down so that you can see what we're talking about when we say L plus W. So please copy these shapes, put your L and then your W in there as well. So this is length and width that we are talking about. Can you see in this rectangle, can you see that this has one dash here and one dash here? When edges of a shape have these marks on them, what they're trying to say is that these are congruent, which means they're the same length. Then over here I see 2 dash marks, and over here 2 dash marks. Again, what they're saying is this side is the same as this side. I can also see all the angles are marked as right angles, so we know they're all the same as well, but we're not worried about angles today. So we said on the last page that this would be 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. But if these two edges are the same and these two edges are the same, this is a shorter way to do this. We could do length plus width and then multiply that by 2. If these are in parentheses, it would end up multiplying the whole thing by 2. So for example, that'd be 2 plus 3, so 5, and then it'd be 2 times 5. So our answer is still 10, right? That's what we had on the last slide. Another way to write this out is to say 2 times this side, because you have 2 of them, right? And then 2 times this side, again, because you have 2 of them. So if this was 2 times 3, that's 5. Sorry, 6. I got this. 2 times 3, that'd be 6. And then 2 times 2, that would be 4. And 6 plus 4 is 10. So these formulas are a nice shorthand way to help you figure out the perimeter without adding up 4 different numbers, without saying 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. Okay? So these equations are a good thing to have written down in your book, in your notebook, and this will help you for your homework. Same thing with the square. You could say 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Or we could say, hey, wait a minute, if they're all the same, couldn't we just take the side length times 4? So that's our equation for the perimeter of a square. P equals 4s, 4 times s, 4 of whatever side length we have. And then a parallelogram that's very similar to a rectangle, instead of saying length times width, they just use A and B, but it's the exact same equation. So if you don't want to remember two separate equations, just use the same one as the rectangle. The triangle, we're just saying a plus b plus c. There's not really any shorthand way to do that unless you know for sure that two sides are the same, but we don't know that right now. Okay, so moving to this next one, this is just an example of how that works. So what if this side length was 3 and this side length was 5? Our perimeter, we were saying P equals, what if I can do a text box here? So we said P equals, one way to do that was 2L times W, length, 2 times the length plus, oops, sorry, not times. Sorry, plus. Okay. So perimeter equals 2 times the length plus the width. So put in the length and the width, and then we take 2 times that value. So I'm thinking order of operations means that we would solve whatever's in parentheses first. So I would take 5 plus 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2 times 8, so our answer would be 16. All right, kind of saves us a little bit of time rather than saying 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about, we're going to look at circles then. How do we find the perimeter of a circle? So first of all, a circle, I know there's a lot to write down here, so I'm going to try and give this to you in pieces. Circle, it's the set of all points that are equal distance from a given point. That's like the mathematical definition of a circle. We kind of think of a circle as just being like round, but I guess you could have a squished oval or something. So anyway, this is the technical definition of a circle. The set of all points that are equal distance from the given point. Okay, let's talk about diameter first. I know I just said we were going to find perimeter, but in order to do that, we need some of these definitions first. So the diameter, this should be reviewed for you guys. I'm pretty sure you've learned this before, but the diameter is the distance from edge to edge. Make sure you have this in your notes. Diameter and radius are two things we're going to talk a lot about this, we'll talk about this semester. So diameter, distance from edge to edge. It would be a good idea also to jot a little circle in your notes and then draw that in, edge to edge, diameter, edge to edge. I like to think of this, it helps me to remember, this kind of looks like a circle. The D kind of looks like a half circle with a line drawn from edge to edge. So that helps me remember diameter. Capital D goes all the way from edge to edge. Okay, next we're going to look at radius. So the radius is the distance from the middle to the edge. This to me kind of looks like we have a half circle. It's only going into the middle. Maybe that will help us. The radius, you could think of it going from edge to middle. Okay, anyway, so the green line from the edge to the middle, this is our radius. The next vocab word here we have is the middle point of a circle. That's called the center. That seems pretty logical. That makes sense. All right, feel free to pause if you need to, if I'm going too fast, if you're still working on copying stuff down. Since I am limited on how much recording time I get, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. But again, you pause if you need to. All right, circumference, it's the perimeter of a circle. That's the total distance along the edge of a circle. So that's all the way around. We could imagine from this point right here all the way around the circle. We have a couple of ways to calculate this. The first way is to say that this is, to calculate it, you would take 2 times pi times r. 2 times pi times r. Please remember to always use the pi button on your calculator. It should be on the left-hand side of your calculator. Do not use 3.14. That is an estimation. That's a rounded value. That is not the true value of pi. So please use the pi button, and then at the end you can round if you need to. If the problem is asking you to round to the nearest tens or whatever, then you can round. But please use the pi button during your calculations. If you need help with that, ask a classmate or email me if you have questions. Okay, so for this one, if the radius is 4 feet, how do we do that? This is how I solved it. So we're saying 2 times pi times the radius. A way to simplify it would be to say 4 times 2 is 8. and 8 pi would be an answer. So if it says give an exact answer and your book does not want any rounding, then this is what you would put down. 8 pi, box it, be done, awesome. If they say to round it, then you can go ahead, plug it into your calculator, and then you can round to whatever place value they want. Let's say they said the 10th place, then you would round it there. Okay, that's fun. However, what if you don't have a radius? What if they didn't give you that? What if instead you're only given diameter? We know diameter is all the way across, but they're asking for the radius. Two options. Well, chop it in half and use this method. So you could take 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5. You could do this, 2 times 7.5 times pi, and you could get your answer. Or do this. Here's another equation that you can use, pi d. And really, aren't they the same? Because diameter is 2 radiuses? No, radii, yeah. So the diameter would be 2 of these put together. So then you say 2r is the same as saying diameter, right? So this is a radius, and then this is another radius. So that's why this equation works. Let's use it. So c equals pi d. So c equals pi d, pi times 15. Again, if your book asked for an exact answer, then I would write down this. Well, actually, I would probably put the 15 first. I would probably say c equals 15 pi. It's typical to put the numbers in front and symbols at the end. Anyway, but if your book asked for a rounded answer, then you would have to plug it into your calculator and write it down according to however many decimal places they want. Alrighty, make sure to add your labels in there, so feet, for example, or whatever else you got, inches. And then when you're done with that, here is the homework assignment. So homework 0-7, page P25. And here are your problems. Please email if you have questions. And rewind if you need to hear something again. I know sometimes I scroll faster than you can write. So go back and pause, re-listen to stuff if you need to. All right, email if you have questions.